No, James, you don't have to do anything different. We like that you don't have any clue what to do. You're backing this guy, this old, I won't say the word, yeah, I will, Dementia Joe, who wants to raise people's taxes to 44%, who wants to send billions of dollars overseas, who wants to bring as many newcomers in as possible, who's okay with $6 and $7 a gallon gas, who's okay with 8 and 9% interest rates for mortgages. He's okay with rent being through the roof for most people. Did I miss anything? Yeah, I'm probably missed a few things because, oh my God, everything you're doing, Mr. Carville, is indeed wrong. And you're seeing the fruits of it right now, including all this BS lawfare. All this BS lawfare that you guys are putting out there, everybody can see right now that it ain't working. And guess what? It ain't gonna work. So that's why I did a video earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did a video earlier where I said that I think they're gonna take Joe out. I don't think Joe is going to be the nominee. I think they're going to swap him out from somebody because right now they got a train wreck. I just want to take a second and thank any of you guys who showed up for the rally on Saturday afternoon. It was a long 3 hours. He was late getting on stage. They had 100,000 people, depending on whose estimate that you use, at the rally. On Saturday, no BS, we had 200,000 people watch my stream. I was completely blown away. I mean, thank you very much. 200,000 people, it's still up, so you can verify the number. I don't make the number, YouTube puts it up there. 200,000 people watched the stream. There's no words. So I'm not gonna waste a lot of time. I want to get some stuff to you because there's so much to cover. Today, it wasn't a dumpster fire. It was a 4-alarm fire with Michael Cohen. This guy got up there. I live in South Florida. We have a newspaper down here called the Sun Sentinel. And the Sun Sentinel, oh my God, what they did was come out with an article saying, Michael Cohen implicates Trump in hush money trial. I guess they didn't actually watch the trial. And before I go too far, I did have, where'd I go? I did save a comment that I wanted to post because I had it ready. It says, there, it's working tonight, so I had to test it. It's got the, your own logo, your own name. Greetings, Mr. Cunningham. Great stream Saturday night. Keep the good work going. Thank you very much for tuning in. I just had to test that before we go. So here's what I'm going to do today. I've got a bunch of stuff to cover with you. I mean, a whole lot of stuff to cover for you. So settle in. Get some popcorn. Get some drinks. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to try and wrap up in an hour, but depending on your comments and when I start taking comments, they may actually go longer. So we're going to see what's going to happen. And your fee tonight, your only charge tonight, this is all you need to do to pay to access this content.
Come on, show some love and click that like button.
That's it. That's all I need from you. Just keep clicking it. Just click it and click it again if they let you. That lets people know because the algorithm and what they're doing to people who talk about Trump is just something awful. But I'm not going to get into that tonight. So let me see if I got to cover anything else. No, right away, I am going to go to cut number 1. So in case you guys wonder what Michael Cohen is all about, he's just like Stormy, except he has a weenie. Instead of laying on his back, he's the one who's out there screwing everybody else. And he's been basically siphoning off of Donald Trump for so many years, and I think he sees the gravy train coming to an end. So much so that he's trying to do an apprentice-style show, and this is the guy that they brought out to, basically to be their star witness. Take a listen to this.
He was inside of that courtroom, and he has stepped outside, and he's joining us now.
Oops, see?
Henry, this was day 16 of this trial. But in the former president's words,
problems, both professional and personal, gaining power, wealth, and notoriety for myself in the process. And I paid the price for it. Since then, I've been on a journey of redemption, working to set things right with my family, my friends, my country, speaking truth to power and calling it like I see it. But now I'm paying it forward, wielding the tools that I've
Sure
learned
you
for
are.
regular people in trouble. The little guy doesn't usually have access to people with my particular set of skills. But that's...
He took that right from the movie Taken. With my particular set of skills. Come on, dude. Try to be original. I know you're stealing Trump's idea about The Apprentice, but try to be original. You took a little movie snippet there, but that's okay.
All about to change. I'll work with you, offering expertise, advice, and solutions to fix your problem. Together, we'll change your life. I am your fixer.
No, thank you. Now understand what this guy did today. He's doing a television show, or trying to launch a television show, where he's the fixer. He's gonna, fix your problems. But who is going to hire this guy who's willing to walk into court, tell all your private business, record your conversations without you knowing it, and then play it to the world whenever he feels like it? Yeah, that's a good resume. It's absolutely insane that this guy thinks that he's going to get clients to pay him to be a fixer when he has just shown to the world in a court of law. Everybody's watching, every media outlet is watching and hearing what he has to say, and he's playing tapes of a one-sided recording, which I guess is legal in New York, but in any event, he's completely jumped the shark in terms of client-attorney privilege, and he's just spewing everything, all the inner secrets of a business, and you want people to hire you? I think you blew that out the water today. I think you didn't hurt Trump. You destroyed your possibility of getting any kind of television show. Could you imagine calling this guy and going, hey, man, I got a problem. I stepped out on my wife. I don't want her to know. I don't want my business associates to know. Can you make her go away? Yeah, okay, we can do that. Hold on, say that again so I can record it. Oh, yeah, okay, got you. Okay, so you want to get rid of this story because your wife and business partner. Say that again. Is that what you want to do? Is that the person you want to hire? And then a year from now, when things go crazy and the wife divorces you, and you want to see which way I'm going to get paid more, so I'm going to go in this lane, or I'm going to go in that lane. That's the guy? This is the guy that's going to fix things for you? Come on, man. I feel like I'm watching a circus. And I turn the channel. I watch TV so you don't have to. And I turn the channel to another station, and I look at what they have to say, and they've got George Conway over there, who hates Trump. All these people hate Trump, which I don't know why. Have you ever thought to yourself, what is it that makes you hate Trump? What has he done to these people that makes them hate Trump? Stormy, she just openly said in court, I hate him. Dude gave you tons of money. Tons of money. Michael Cohen, you've been paid for years. Why do you hate him? I think that's what their downfall is. I mean, there's something wrong there. So I think just opening, I wanted to basically play that clip, the two clips, with James Carville as well, because nothing's working. He's absolutely right. The polls are basically crapping all over Dementia Joe. It's a one-way train wreck. It's going off the rails, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. If you saw my video today, I talked about the clip that's going around with, what's his name, Fareed Zakaria, how you ever say his name, and I don't think that was by accident. In my video, I explained why I don't think it's by accident. I think it's time they put a hit out on Joe. They don't want him anymore. It's going to get very ugly. So now these people are absolutely desperate. Those of you in the military, my dad was in the military, I wasn't, but you know what the term stay frosty means. Stay frosty means check your six, watch out what's going on around you in your peripheral, and understand that shit's about to get nuts. If things are the way they are, and we see it openly, just imagine the stuff that's happening behind the scenes. They are desperate. I don't think they can even, I can't say the word, but you know what? I don't think they can fudge the numbers with the votes this year. I don't think they can do the water main breakdowns. I think everybody's watching for everything. I understand there's some flu that may come, and this new flu that may come, they may try to run that again. I don't know, but something is going to happen. because they don't have any alternative. This guy is not going to beat Trump. This guy is nowhere. I mean, if CNN and MSNBC and the liberal news people are letting you know that these numbers are the way they are, then you know that they've basically even cheating on that, and they still can't show Biden beating Trump. And what's worse, and I keep telling you guys, you're probably the only people who know it, because I keep mentioning it to you. Whenever you see those polls and they put them up and they just say Trump and Biden, and it shows Trump up by 10 and Biden, pooping the bed, understand there's someone else in that race that's going to make those numbers affected even more. And I think it's going to be more towards taking votes away from Biden, but they never talk about it. Today they showed a poll and they said that I think one of the guys was up by 1. And I'm like, that's BS, complete BS. Why is it BS? Because you've got a third guy in the race who's going to be taking numbers away from Dementia Joe. So that's who Michael Cohen is. Michael Cohen is a liar. I've got so much I'm going to show you guys, but I'm going to take a second here after you just saw that and grab some comments, because I see him coming in here. Let me see here. We got, boom. Levitha says, Barry, I'm 68 from New York City and have been a Democrat since 18. I voted for Trump and intend to do it again. He's still president. Bingo. Good for you. Good for you. Let's see. Charles Radford says, I love your picture. I got to fix that. Your picture says, watching Pelosi at Oxford was beautiful to watch her get it taken down and exposed as an elite. Yes, they are getting exposed. Absolutely. That Cohen story is just a pimp. He's just a pimp, says LaWanda. Dems have sold all their decency, truth, morality, and their souls. Yes, for power. That's why the desperation, hate, and slander is so great in them. Yeah, I guess when you make a deal with the devil and he calls you on it, yeah, you might want to be kind of afraid of that, for sure. I will be, let's see here, Alexandria says, I will be voting for Trump in November. And Ron Moore says, what will the Democrats try in November 6th when Biden is voted out? I think they're doing dry runs on college campuses right now. I think that's that basically orc army that's all over college campuses that's being funded by, that guy. Can you believe it? Can't say his name either. People don't like you saying his name, even though you know who I'm talking about, who's funding all this. I think it's a dry run. I think they're going to see how many cities can we go to at one time. Wow, if we can hit 30, 35 college campuses, we can easily mobilize in 30 or 35 cities. And also, I think, in addition to the dry run for what they'll do after the election, I also think that was entirely astroturf. I think it gave the DNC a reason to begin talking about going virtual. We want to make sure it's safe and that people don't come to Chicago and have to deal with, riots and stuff everywhere. So this way we can have old Joe run from his basement again. Unfortunately, 100,000 people showed up in Wildwood that kind of just screwed that pooch all over. I don't know what they're going to do. I'll put it up. I won't say it. But yeah, that guy. That's the guy who's funding everything. Some of these campuses don't want Biden there. Yeah, they created Frankenstein at this point. They're going to have to deal with it. Little Mama says, did you see the video Ted Cruz put out about the kids in the cages? He asked Mayorkas why Biden had them there. No, I haven't seen it. I will have to look it up. Ode to Green member says, legislative branch equals where House all bought and paid for. One of the things that kind of just pisses me off with everything that's going on with Trump, but I think it's starting to shift at this point. Because I think today there was J.D. Vance, the Attorney General of Alabama, don't remember his name, and also Tommy Tuberville from Alabama as well. All these guys were at the hearing supporting Trump. J.D. Vance was there too as well. So you get all these people there starting to support Trump, showing their face. I want to know why more of them are up there. I want to know why more Republicans, senators, and congresspeople are not up in New York. It's time to show force. It's time to show face and force. And these guys aren't doing it. So let me go to this video. Oh, this one's a doozy. This is the history of Michael Cohen. It's fantastic. If you're not aware, it's also scary, because what he says in here makes you just go,
Convicted on 5 counts of tax evasion. There's 1 count of misrepresentation of documents to a bank. There's 2 counts, one dealing with campaign finance for Karen McDougal, 1 count of campaign finance violation for Stormy Daniels.
These are all the counts that he's already been busted on. He's having to basically recall them for the, I guess it's a Senate hearing, I'm not really sure, but he's telling all these things that he's already been charged with.
As well as lying to Congress.
As well as lying to Congress. He's lied to everybody he's ever got in front of.
All the crimes for which you were sentenced would bring a maximum of 70 years, yes or no?
Yes.
Yet you were going to prison for 3 years, yes or no?
Yes.
All right, so this is important. The charges that he had, I'm going to have to turn this up. I want you guys to hear this. The charges that he has had will land him in prison for 70 years, but he's only gone to prison for 2 years. Why would it be that you only had to go to prison for 2 years?
Expect to go back and ask for any sort of reduction in sentence?
Yes, the way the Rule 35 motion works is what you're supposed to do is provide them with information that leads to ongoing investigations.
Boom. He's a rat, okay? He's a rat who's saving his ass. In case you didn't hear it, I hope it's loud enough. Let me know if you guys can hear it. But what he did, he said that he was basically on the hook for 70 years. 70 years in prison. And it got shaved down to 2 years if he went after Trump, if he gave them information on Trump. I think I would probably be inclined to make up whatever I had to make up to help you get a conviction if you were holding 68 more years over my head. I don't know if they're going to play this when it turns to cross-examination, but the jury's going to go, well, not just the jury, any normal person would go, what? This guy is going to jail for 70 years and he gets off because he's testifying against Trump and helped him with the investigation? Did you know that? Did you know that? It's crazy.
I am in constant contact with the Southern District of New York regarding...
I am in constant contact with the Southern District of New York. Did you know that? How many people know that? That he's basically been being a stool pigeon for about 6 months to a year. That's how long they've had this guy on a leash.
Ongoing investigations.
District of New York, in their statement, their sentencing memo, says this: Cohen's criminal violations in the federal election laws were also stirred, like others' crimes, by his own ambition and greed. Cohen privately told friends, colleagues, and including seized text messages, that he expected to be given a prominent role in the new administration.
So there's another bomb. That's been out there in the news today, that one of the reasons he's so pissed off is because he didn't get a job in the White House. Can you imagine if this guy was the Attorney General? That's what he was hoping for? And what he would have been selling to who knows where and who knows what? And that's why he's pissed off, because that was going to be his money train. He needed to get into the White House. Understand, if Trump doesn't get convicted, this guy is toast. I mean, forget your television show. You won't work again. Nobody's ever going to hire you.
When that did not materialize, Cohen found a way to monetize his relationship in excess with the president. So, were they lying, or were you lying today?
I'm not saying it's a lie.
Individual who deliberately and premeditatedly lied to this body. He lied to Congress through false statements and written statements. He lied to Congress through his testimony. He then amplified his false statements by releasing and repeating his lies to the public, including the other potential witnesses. Yet now, we on this committee and the American people
starting to squirm,
are expected to believe Mr. Cohen's testimony. You stood before multiple congressional committees before today and raised your right hand and swore an oath to be honest. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you lied to those congressional committees. Is that correct?
Previously?
Correct.
Yes, sir.
On On tape. On tape. You held your hand up, right? Yeah. And you swore to tell the truth, right? Yeah. So you lied. Previously? I can't tell anymore, Mike. I can't tell when you're opening your mouth when the lies are coming out. And you want us to believe, this time I'm telling the truth. This time I'm going to be real. Forget the other stuff. That's in the past, man. I'm going to tell you the truth now.
You stated that Trump never directed you to lie to Congress. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so Trump never told him to lie to Congress. Okay. Take that demerit and play this tape in court.
But he never directed you to lie to Congress.
He did not use those words, no.
Page 13, you claim, and I quote, Mr. Trump directed me to use my own personal funds from a home equity line of credit to avoid any money being tracked back to him that could negatively impact his campaign. Do you have any proof of this direction?
Just the payment, sir.
No proof of that. That is something that came out to court today. So he lied again. He said to Congress right there, I've got no proof that Trump ever said that. I don't think this guy understands that this stuff can be brought into evidence. And if this judge doesn't allow this to be brought into evidence, it'll definitely be brought into appeal. He just said, I have no proof that Trump told me to use my own money to pay off Stormy Daniels.
So no email?
Mr. Trump doesn't have email.
So no recording?
I do not have recordings, no.
No text message?
I do not have recordings. What the hell did you play in court today? Understand, you are going to go to jail for lying to Congress again. I don't have any recordings of Trump. Well, then what happened today in court? Where'd that come from? Bet you guys didn't know that. Bet your jurors don't know that. You just said, I have no recordings. You just told a Senate or House committee that you don't have any recordings of Trump. And then yet today you played a recording that you took of Trump. Which is the lie? Well, obviously we know.
Mr. Trump doesn't text message.
So no direction other than your testimony today that that's what the payment was for. Nothing that you produced as part of your exhibits proved that President Trump directed you in any way to make that payment.
Spit it out, Mike.
I don't even know how to answer that, sir.
I can tell you how to answer it with the truth. The guy asked you, it wasn't a trick question. You've got nothing to prove that you were told to pay off Stormy Daniels as hush money. You don't have any proof, right? I don't even know how to answer that. Okay.
I don't believe there's anybody out there that believes that I just decided to pay $130,000 on his behalf.
Well, you were
that guy laughing in the background cracks me up.
Were his attorney for over 10 years.
That doesn't mean that I pay $130,000.
Well, it doesn't also mean that he wasn't paying you for representation of counsel.
Okay.
Witness for the
okay.
The 116th Congress is a guy who is going to prison in 2 months for lying to Congress. This time, someone convicted of lying to Congress has appeared again so quickly in front of Congress. Certainly, it's the first time a convicted perjurer has been brought back to be a star witness in a hearing.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but Jordan and Comer just basically made another recommendation to the Department of Justice to bring this guy back into, or actually to arrest him or indict him again for lying to Congress all over again. His troubles are just still going on. He can't shake this stuff.
My question to you, was it Donald Trump's fault that you knowingly committed a crime of deception to defraud a bank?
No, it's not.
How can...
This is brutal. I understand it's brutal. I keep stopping us so you guys can gather it all in.
Anybody listen to this pathological person. He's got a problem. He doesn't know fact from fiction. And that's what's sad here, is that you didn't do this for Donald Trump, to protect Donald Trump. You did it for you. This is all about you.
You said that, unquote. That's your testimony today. You said you didn't even consider whether it was legal. How could you give your client legal advice when you're not even considering whether it's legal?
I did what I knew Mr. Trump wanted. This
February.
Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That's why he got disbarred. Your client isn't the person who has sworn to, basically guide their client under the law. And you said, I just do whatever Mr. Trump wanted. So that's not being a lawyer. That's insane.
13th, 2018, Mr. Cohen, you sent a statement to the reporters that said, quote, I used my own personal funds to facilitate a payment of $130,000 to Ms. Stephanie Clifford, and neither the Trump Organization nor the Trump campaign was party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed me for the payment either directly or indirectly. Was the statement false?
The statement is not false.
13th, I interviewed Cohen in his office about the statement he gave the FEC, in which he said Trump didn't know about the Stormy payment or reimburse him for it. Do you recall this meeting with the reporter?
I do.
What did you talk to Mr. Schiff?
Wow. Did you hear that? This is going to get played in court. I can't think that the judge is going to not allow it. This is a congressional. I understand this tape that I found. It's got some laugh track and stuff on it. But the actual tape of the hearing will obviously be brought into evidence.
About.
I spoke to Mr. Schiff about topics that were going to be raised at the upcoming hearing.
Oh, not just what time to show up, actually what you're going to talk about?
He just admitted talking to Adam Schiff about what they were going to say at the hearing. So Adam Schiff has got his dirty paws in this as well.
Time to get fired.
Wow.
For those who question my motives for being here today, I understand. I have lied.
But I'm telling the truth now.
But I am not a liar. And I have done bad things. I am not a bad man.
Can you fathom that? Can you fathom what you just heard? Imagine you're one of the 12 people on that jury in New York and that gets played in front of you. Oh, but there's more. There's a lot more that I'm going to bring to you. That was just his history back at the congressional hearing, that he was tied in knots. Can you imagine what he's going to do under cross-examination? This first 2 or 3 days with the prosecution with their rehearsed answers for the last 6 months doesn't matter. What's going to matter is when he gets up there in front of them and does his cross-examination, and there's just volumes of crap that Michael Cohen has spewed out that's going to be put right back in his face. Right back in his face. It's going to be delicious. So let's take a few. Well, you're right. I love that comment when he said it. He goes, I lied, but I'm not a liar. I beat my wife, but I'm not a wife beater. Sure, buddy. Yeah, that's not going to go well with the jury. All this kind of stuff, they haven't seen it yet. The jury is going to feel so disrespected if they get to see that. I don't see how the judge in his right mind could say you can't introduce a congressional hearing. We're not talking about some small suit in Idaho. This was a national congressional hearing where he got tied up in knots and he's been referred for prosecution. So while he's at the stand right now in New York, he has already been referred for further prosecution by the Department of Justice by the Congressional Committee. I don't know if the 12 people on the jury know it. There's no way the judge can keep that out. Well, how is it relevant? Because he was testifying about this supported crime. It wasn't like he was talking about Donald Trump cheated on a real estate deal. He was talking specifically about this case. He went out in Congress and openly lied there, and they're going to have all this information. Excuse me. Mershon will never allow evidence like this. Why not? It's relative specifically to the case, but you may be right. This guy is so corrupt he might not do it. Schiff is probably a bigger liar than Cohen. Still wears Russia hoax. What's up, George? Haven't seen you in a while. Fog was a thing we used to talk about when I was in the Dolphins, when I used to do my Dolphin stuff. FOG, effing old guys here, yeah. Alvin Bragg and Judge Mershon should have watched this and disallowed Michael Cohen. I'm sure they've seen it. And that's what scares me. I'm sure they've seen a lot of this stuff. So the other commenter who said they're not going to allow it to show, allow it to be shown is probably where they're going to try and do. They're probably going to try and object to it being brought in. I don't know what grounds, because it is directly relative to the case. And basically, they got to get him to open the door. And what I mean by that is they can ask a question like, did you testify to Congress about this case? Yes. Boom, door open. Of course, the prosecution's going to jump up and say, oh, that was, what, was a long time ago? No, it wasn't a long time ago. Doesn't matter. You were testifying about this case. I don't know how they're going to keep it out. David Buckeye Campbell, where is it? Right here. What's the crime, though? You're right. Still no crime. Still no crime has been shown to this court. So, in the essence of keeping you guys moving, I want you, this is about 1 minute and 13 seconds. And this guy, Michael Cohen, went on MSNBC and absolutely trashed Trump with the most gaslighting BS you'd ever want to hear. And of course, one of the hosts on here is, what's her name? The chick with the blonde hair. And then the other guy, Alvin Vesey, or whatever his name is. And they just let him go. Joy Reid. They just let him go. Listen to this crap. It might be a little bit loud. Let's see.
You can't imagine the things that he's going to do, how far he's going to press the line. If you think Vladimir Putin, Russia entering Ukraine is, for a land grab, well, what do you think Donald is going to do?
Guy's off his rocker. And notice the MSNBC host just, yeah, please tell me more.
If he becomes a dictator, Mexico, Canada, whatever our bordering countries are. So, Ali, when you said that you're running to Canada, half my family lives in Toronto. I can only tell you, we can't go to Canada because eventually Canada will become annexed to America. And I know people say, stop it, Michael.
So Trump's going to take over Canada. He just said that on television. It tells you where the audience of MSNBC is. These people are just absolutely frothing at the mouth, dumb, bat poop crazy people if they listen to this stuff.
It's all hyperbole. No, it's not. He won't be a dictator on day 2. He will be a king. He will make himself into the Fuhrer, and he will make every...
And she just sat there. She's got that face. How can you be a credible media person when you're letting this guy just go off and just say the stupidest crap he could possibly say, and you're like, not a word.
Everybody raise their hand and salute him, Heil Hitler, because...
Yeah, he actually just said that.
That's what he is. That's what he's going to shut down this station. He wants to jail your president and CEO. He wants to execute Joint Chief of Staff Mark Milley. He wants to, execute Mike Pence. I mean,
I can't imagine how much she must get paid. How much, because any educated person, I wish there was like bubbles that were popping up in what she was thinking. She was thinking, damn, this white dude's nuts, man. I get paid a lot for this though, so just let me just keep going with it. I know the check's gonna clear every 2 weeks, so let me just shut up and pretend like I understand that this guy is making any sense.
He's got a hit list of people. He wants to throw everyone into Gitmo. I mean, this is it's hard to imagine that we're even having this conversation.
Now I know that will never ever be shown to a jury. Nope, that's just television. They'll say that's just entertainment. But what that goes to is the frothing at the mouth, the bat poop crazy things that he's willing to say to trash Trump. To me, I would say you need to put that into the record on court. It's no crazier than the stuff they put in there about Stormy, because then I could say, hey, Mike, did you really think that he was going to have people salute him and say, how, you know what? Do you think he's really going to execute the CEO of MSNBC? Do you really think that he was going to invade and annex Canada? Because that's what you said. And you said so many things. And I'm only on, cut 3 here. And you just keep saying stuff over and over and over to get yourself in trouble. So this one here cracks me up the most. Well, I won't say the most, but this is a cut from MSNBC where there's a lawyer that they brought on who's being a little bit reserved, saying there's a problem here. And this is where people start, who do have credibility, are starting to wonder, did they make a mistake?
His surreptitious audio recordings. And can I offer a couple thoughts on the opening?
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Cohen keeps saying that he lied on Donald Trump's behalf. That is only true with respect to his lies to Congress.
Right.
He lied to the Justice Department. He lied to the IRS. He lied to banks. None of that was for Trump. All of it was for him. And after the court decision you read, which was indeed favorable to Michael Cohen, a couple of months later, a federal judge concluded that he had perjured himself.
A federal judge, because again, one of those crackpot local judges, regional judges said, oh, it's okay. And the federal judge is like, nope, perjured himself.
So the whole story of Michael Cohen's credibility in history is more complicated than I think people even have the ability to process.
Wait, so then given what you just said, how worried, if you were on the prosecution's team tonight, right now, how worried would you be about Cohen's testimony tomorrow or this coming week?
Well, how worried would you be? Well, he's about to tell you.
I wouldn't be so much worried about tomorrow, or because the first day or two, presumably the prosecution will be putting him on, and they will likely have had a sort of plan worked out.
Yes, they understand what he just said, that they've had months and months and months of choreography. They've been able to show him how to dance, how to do the two-step, and basically when I ask you if the sky is blue, just tell me that it's blue and that Donald Trump told you it was blue. And he can basically, it was the same thing with Stormy. Day one, day two, with her talking, everything was okay. And then they have to face cross-examination.
The cross, that's going to be the problem. And I don't know, anyone who's seen Michael Cohen on television, I mean, this is not a man who's terribly composed or, I don't know, as cognitively fluent as he would like to believe he is.
Fluent.
I don't know. I don't have a nicer way to say it. Anyway, he could...
The nicer way to say it, he's a liar. Oops, what did I do there? Let me go back to that.
Easily be taken apart during a cross-examination, and if he blows up, right, and starts railing against whoever and just going off the cuff, because he's going to be up there for hours, potentially days on cross. Like, is he going to be able to hold it together? I don't know. He doesn't seem to me to have a lot of self-control, and most of the key witnesses in the case have already dumped all over him before this.
Yeah, I don't know if you realize this, but everybody that the prosecution brought up, because the defense hasn't even put on their case yet, the prosecution witnesses, Pecker, Hope Hicks, one after the other assistant, they all just dumped all over Michael Cohen and said the guy is basically a piece of crap.
I was going to ask about his being prolific, you know, the memoir, the podcast, everything.
All terrible ideas for a witness.
all terrible ideas. I love this one. Dunn 716 says Cohen must be doing drugs with Hunter. He's going to need them, that's for sure. Let's see. I wanted to put this one. Duke O. Hampshire says, if these courts can be bought off with corrupt judges and lawyers by those in power, can it happen with the appeals court too? Can it happen? Not as likely. Because what's going to happen, and this is really getting into the legal weeds of things, once you get to an appeal, there's another boss above them, which is the Supreme Court. And so they don't want to get basically spanked too much like the court out in California and have your decisions overturned over and over. It just doesn't look good, especially if you plan on advancing or wanting to do something else. So Judge Merchan here has completely blown this case wide open. Rosemary Morales says, yeah, let's make it too big to rig. It's raining lies instead of cats and dogs. And it's funny, unless people like me show you this stuff, unless you're sitting in front of the television all day, yeah, I have no life. It's very hard to see all of this stuff aggregated in one situation. So let me continue because I don't want to keep you guys here all night, but I got more. So let's see, who's this coming up? All right, so now this cut is, and I started laughing because each one of these, I put them in succession. This is Lanny Davis, who is Michael Cohen's attorney, who appeared on CNN this morning. I'm not CNN, MSNBC this morning on Joe Scarborough's show, Morning Joe, talking about how Michael Cohen's going to do well. He's ready for what's about to happen.
What can we deduce from the Michael Cohen that we saw in that clip, and potentially the Michael Cohen who will take the stand today?
Well, I talked to Michael last night, almost every night, and good to see Joe Scarborough. It was back in 1998 that we worked a little bit in the hallways of CNN around the problems that President Clinton faced, and he ultimately had to go public and express remorse. And Michael and I talked last night, and we recalled the journey that we've been on, Mika. In late June of 2018, before he went public, I asked him, how is anyone going to believe you after 10 years of lying for Donald Trump?
Not just for Donald Trump. They're going to expose that he was lying for himself as well.
And he said to me then, and he repeated in front of a national and international audience live under oath, I'm ashamed of what I did. I have remorse for what I did, and I will take the consequences and go to prison for what I did.
You believe that? You believe that? Because if he had a mea culpa, as he calls his podcast, and he had his come to Jesus moment, then he was getting on the stand today, and he's not going to lie anymore. He's really going to tell people what exactly happened. I want to come clean. And so today at 9:30, when he got on the stand, he had the opportunity to basically come clean.
So you're going to hear that during today's and this week's testimony, that Michael Cohen owns what he did wrong and apologized and took the punishment by going to prison. But you're also going to see everything that Michael Cohen testifies to after spending years with these prosecutors behind closed doors.
Did you catch that? I thought he was going to say after spending years with Trump, he knows so much. And that's not what he said. After spending, quote, years with these prosecutors. Years. How? What cases was he working on with them? What was he telling them? When was he telling them? He just said that. He has been spending years with these prosecutors. So we know that Alvin Bragg hasn't been around for years. Is that why they put the Department of Justice guy in charge of the Alvin Bragg case? Is that why Merrick Garland put him in charge of being the prosecutor on this case? They've been working together for years? What do you mean years? Tell me more about these years that he's been working together with whoever. I assume the Department of Justice. So he's been dealing and basically wallowing in that mud for quite some time. And his attorney just said it on television. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Michael and me, everything will be corroborated by text messages, by documents.
What text messages? He just said to Congress that Trump doesn't text, doesn't email. So what are you corroborating, and who are you corroborating with?
Even by witnesses loyal to President Trump. That's why I believe this jury, despite the attacks and personal attacks on Michael, will believe Michael Cohen.
Did you catch that? And of course, Mika, they never follow up with questions. Just goes, yeah, you realize you just said you've been working with the Department of Justice undercover for years to try and do something against Trump? Years? And this is what you got? Stormy Daniels? That's the part you got? Or are you involved in the document case with Jack Smith? Or are you involved with the Fannie Smith case that's falling apart in Georgia? What have you been involved with for years? That doesn't make any sense. But let's just take that at the surface. He said that here's what's going to happen. Michael Cohen is going to go in court, and he's going to tell the truth because, he's seen the light. He's had his come to Jesus moment, and he understands that this is what he needs to do, and apologize to everybody for being such a lying you-know-what. But so what does he do on the first day? On his very first day, he goes into court. But before we do that, I want to play a little Mark Levin.
We actually go to the New York Times. And this is from March 31, 2023, a year ago. It is known Mr. Trump was under scrutiny from federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York some years ago as part of an investigation that also looked at his longtime fixer, Michael D. Cohen.
Years with the Southern District of New York, who has been looking with Michael Cohen.
Cohen eventually went to prison, but Mr. Trump was not charged at the time or after he left office. The prosecutors in the Justice Department have never said publicly why Mr. Trump was not charged, but some of the reasons appear to concern how the prosecutors viewed Mr. Cohen.
Bingo. So they couldn't charge Trump because the prosecutors didn't feel that Michael Cohen was credible. They couldn't charge Trump back then. The federal prosecutors, because of the worry that Michael Cohen wasn't credible.
Who's expected to be involved in the case brought by the district attorney, Alvin Bragg. Involved, that's their key witness. A felon who committed crimes of perjury.
Disbarred.
And fraud. That goes to the heart of his character. And yet he is the key witness in a case that isn't even a case where the state law had already passed, where the federal law has passed, where there is no basis for anything taking place in this courtroom.
And they still haven't said what this other charge is. And Mark's going to get into everything in terms of regards to this election charge versus this basically misdemeanor charge where the statute of limitation has already expired.
Politico. This is from March 20 of this year. A federal judge suggested Wednesday that Michael Cohen committed perjury under oath. This is last month, giving fresh support to former President Donald Trump's claim that his one-time personal lawyer, poised to be a star prosecution witness in his upcoming New York criminal trial, is an untrustworthy liar.
So understand, on March 23rd, we're talking just about 6 weeks ago, a judge in a federal court says this guy is a complete untrustworthy liar. The judge said it. And today, Michael Cohen's attorney said he's seen the light. He's no longer untrustworthy. He's had this metamorphosis in the last 6 weeks. You have to trust us.
Judge Jesse M. Furman in Manhattan, a federal judge, questioned Cohen's truthfulness in a written order, denying his request for early release from the court supervision that followed his 3-year prison sentence for crimes including tax evasion, lying to banks and Congress, and violating campaign finance.
Okay, hold on a second. So this guy here, this guy Michael Cohen, in addition to being a liar, has been found guilty of tax evasion, of lying to banks, in other words, i.e. fraud, lying to Congress, and violating campaign finance laws, and he's not in jail. Let that sink in, because any one of those charges would put you and I in jail for years and years and years. And Michael Cohen is walking free. Explain that. Explain that to a jury.
It's laws. This is their key witness. Furman called Cohen's testimony at Trump's civil trial in a Manhattan state court last October. On the witness stand, Cohen insisted he wasn't actually guilty of tax evasion, even though he pleaded guilty to the charge in 2018.
Okay. Understand what he just said that. In court, he said, I wasn't guilty of tax evasion, even though he was charged with tax evasion and pled guilty. You hearing that? I'm not guilty. Oh, you mean when I pled guilty? Oh, that was before.
Asked if he had lied to the federal judge who accepted his guilty plea, Cohen said yes.
Hey, I'm sorry for laughing. You couldn't make this shit up. He told the judge, yeah, I lied to a judge. You lied to a judge as long ago as 6 weeks, but now you've seen the light, right? Okay.
Cohen repeatedly and unambiguously testified at the state court trial that he was not guilty of tax evasion and that he had lied under oath. Basically, he said this guy lies his ass off for 1,000 different reasons.
And this is their star witness. This is the guy that they think is going to bring down Trump. I don't know how they're going to get past all of this information. I don't know if the judge is just going to stonewall and not let any of it in so the jury never hears it. Because as I was compiling all this stuff, I was like, there's no way. I wouldn't have put Cohen on the stand. I would actually put him on a slow boat to, Singapore or something, go get out of town. Don't even come here. You go home now. I don't want you here.
Why hasn't the federal government stepped in? I've asked this question for months. Going into this courtroom or into a federal courtroom, going somewhere and shut this case down.
It's a good question. Why is it still going on? You've got a guy who is involved with just all kinds of tax evasion, lying to Congress, bank fraud, and this is the guy that you've put on the stand to try and incriminate a former president and potentially future president. Roberta Williams says, okay, Judas Iscariot felt remorse too, then turned and hung himself. He had remorse, but he did not have true repentance. That's true. Yeah. I think Michael Cohen is too much of a coward to even do that. Pornhub on display. Cohen, the leading role. Great, to be honest. That's funny. This was funny. DJ Merritt says, did Stormy write this script? I don't know. I think what they're counting on, and I'd love to know how many of you guys have seen this information before and have it brought to you in this fashion, but they're basically counting on these 12 people on the jury never having seen this, never even having heard who Michael Cohen is. They already know that many people on the left just don't care. They couldn't care if he basically ran people over in the street. If he could get Donald Trump, that's all that matters. You saw how MSNBC just let him spew. They didn't care. Oh yeah, he's going to take over Canada and invade them, and then he's going to kill the CEO of MSNBC. He's going to do that to your CEO, man. And she just sat there. Didn't even say, Michael, this is outrageous. It's ludicrous. It's absurd. What are you talking about? You're making no sense right now. Are you on something? Mike, did you snort something before you got on air? Do we need to call a doctor? Because you sound crazy. You sound like Britney Spears. You're just off your rocker. Hey, Loretta, the cost to the taxpayers for this clown show is a travesty. Oh, you think that's a high cost? I almost think that the reason they're going through this case at this point, and the other one where they tried to say that Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million, I think the reason why they're going through this is because if he gets adjudicated, which I don't see how he couldn't, he's going to sue New York for billions. I mean, I don't think New York would survive the lawsuit that Trump is going to bring against him. And a lot of people have been saying, well, he'll just let it go. Bullshit. Trump is not going to let this go. You came after him. You came after his family. You came after his business. You came after his friends. You came after everyone in his inner circle. And you don't think he's going to make you pay? He made Stormy Daniels pay. He's not enforcing it. He's not collecting on it. But she owes him $630,000. Think about that. He went after Stormy Daniels and said, you're going to slide up and down this pole for a long time because you owes me some money. What do you think he's going to do to Alvin Bragg? And Alvin Bragg can't go up and down a pole. He's toast. Judge Merchan, he may have immunity because he's a judge, but everybody else, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm going to sue all of y'all. I believe that's where he's going. Paul, this is so funny. Stormy got the script from the dead people she speaks to. Hey, Carla, how you doing? Oh, Carla, I got more too. Don't leave yet. I got more for you. By the way, you guys.
Come on, show some love and click that like button.
And I believe, John, you're right. They hate Trump because he will shut down the wasted tax money and everyone on that gravy train, and that's on both sides of the aisle. Don't think for a second that a bunch of people on the right aren't getting paid and getting kickbacks from some of that money going over to that country over there. You doggone right, they're getting paid. Trump is the only man to get a prostitute to pay him. Oh, boom. All right, so let's move on. Oh, wait, that's funny. You got me on that one. All right, so this is Jonathan Turley before the prosecution brought Michael Cohen to the stand.
Well, I have to confess, I believe that this day is truly going to go down as a day of infamy for the New York legal system. Watching this unfold in that courtroom as a lawyer is really deeply disturbing. It's not just that you're relying on a serial perjurer. That can occur. But it is in a case that we're still not certain what the theory of the crime is.
And that's, to me, mind-boggling. Like he said, maybe you could get away with Michael Cohen if you had an air-shut case. It was tight. It's locked up. We know this guy did X, Y, and Z, and that's it. We just need a couple people to... You got nothing. I mean, you literally have nothing, and you're trying to, basically create something.
But you're also going to have a disbarred attorney turning to that jury and asking them to send his former client to jail for his legal advice, for following his legal advice. And
that's kind of screwed up, isn't it? I hire you as my attorney. You tell me as my attorney I should do X, Y, and Z. I do X, Y, and Z if that's what happened. It was your call. You told me to do it. But you're going to say I'm the one who directed everything. Then why did I need you?
And the way that they're doing this is they're introducing lots of documents that really don't establish anything that's being contested.
Nothing.
And they're leaving all types of suggestions of federal campaign violations and untoward activity. They haven't thus far stated the elements of any crime. So he's going to have to stick that landing soon.
And soon meaning like tomorrow. And because if it goes beyond that, again, he's got to get on that stand for cross-examination. And so today he basically verbally said, yeah, Trump knew and Trump told me. And that's it. He told me. That's the basis of everything. You got no other proof. You got nothing with Trump's name on it. You don't have an email. You don't have a text. You have a half-baked recording of something that you said you didn't have, but now you do have. And that's what you're going to go with? Good luck with that.
He's going to have to say with absolute clarity that President Trump knew that he was committing fraud in order to hide a crime and what that crime is. And that when they put this deal...
See, I don't think Michael Cohen can say that because I don't think Michael Cohen would have even known that. He doesn't seem to me that he's astute enough to even know that what would have been a crime. Remember, this happened way back 8-9 years ago. And so he would have had to have said or had a conversation with Trump in 2016. Hey, listen, let's bury this so that the election isn't interfered or isn't basically compromised by Stormy Daniels. He would have had to got Trump to say that. Nope, nothing on the record.
Notation down as federal expenses. That was part of the fraud. But they already have prior witnesses that have made the case for the defense, including an accountant that said, look, if we pay Michael Cohen something as the lawyer, it's going to go down as a legal expense.
Duh. I don't know how many of you guys run businesses, but, even your household. Guy comes to do the lawn. Well, he's my lawn keeper. A guy comes to do my pool. He basically cleans a pool. I put that in the ledger. That's what that guy got paid for. So when Michael Cohen got paid and they put it as legal expense, what were they supposed to put it as?
So Michael Cohen has to be the virtual entirety of this case to avoid a directed verdict.
Okay.
And that's what we're waiting. We're getting to that point now.
We're waiting how they come off the pommel horse. They're waiting how they come off the high bar and stick the landing.
That ain't going to happen. Michael Cohen doesn't have that kind of dexterity to make sure that he sticks that landing. And so I don't know what they're going to do and how they're going to broach. I think they tried today. I think they decided today they were going to say that, hey, here's what he did. What's your proof? Oh, he just told me. Oh, okay, so we're supposed to believe you. And that's where it's going to go. I guarantee you over the next couple of days, there aren't going to be a whole bunch of documents. There won't be anything that says Trump did this. Nothing with Trump's signature. Nothing. He already said he doesn't email. He doesn't text. What do you got? Your word? Okay. Hope that works. All right. So then Remember, you heard him say, I've seen the light. You heard his attorney say he's not going to lie. I'm going to tell the truth. I got so much to say. This happened shortly after he got on the stand.
So he's telling a much different story now than he was telling back in 2018. This is what he said to the New York Times in terms of the payment to Stormy Daniels. He said, neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was a party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed me for the payment, either directly or indirectly. The payment to Ms. Clifford was lawful and was not a campaign contribution or a campaign expenditure by anyone.
It's what you said. It's in writing. That's what you said. Are you going to say now, oh, I was lying then? I was lying because the boss wanted me to lie. Except there's one other part of this that you're going to hear about right now.
I remember at that time having a phone conversation with Cohen, and when she told me that he took out a HELOC, a home equity loan, to pay for all of this, would follow along the same lines of what he told the New York Times. And yet Leo was out there on the stand. Here he is on the record. Now he's out there on the stand telling a completely different story.
He forgot. He forgot that he did an interview with John Roberts, wherever he was back then, and he told John Roberts something. I wouldn't be surprised if John Roberts now gets subpoenaed by the defense. He just got caught in another lie. In the first day of testimony, on his first day of testimony, he got caught in another lie. So much for what Lanny Davis said. Hey, Lanny, he's going to tell the truth. You already have been exposed. Understand that he's already been exposed in court by a reporter on Fox. So you're going to try and impugn this guy and say he's lying? He just said it. He goes, I talked to you. I did an interview with you. You already told me a different story then than the one you told today. You're lying. I bet you he forgot what he said to John Roberts. People who lie pathologically don't always remember what they're saying and who they're saying it to, and he got burned for that. He got caught. So it's not over. Then he goes and says this.
This just out of the courtroom. It appears that there's been a discrepancy between Michael Cohen's testimony and that of that National Enquirer /AMI Director David Pecker's testimony when it comes to Karen McDougal's story. From our court notes.
Now understand, is this what she's about to say? Is this the reason why they couldn't call Karen McDougal as a witness? Remember, she's the Playboy bunny that Trump supposedly had a tryst with, that they were going to bring her in as well to corroborate their other stories. They took her off the list. Listen to what she says right here.
This is Lydia Hugh, Fox Business, also an attorney, tells us, we show Pecker says he called Cohen and told him the agreement was off. He wasn't going forward and wanted it ripped up. He said Cohen was very, very angry, in quotes, very upset.
Now, she's reading the script testimony, reading it directly. She's not, I mean, you can see she's got her cell phone there. She's reading the exact testimony that was given.
Screaming at me, the boss is going to be very angry with you. However, today Cohen said on the stand, and we reported this when he said it, Cohen updated Donald Trump, and Cohen told Trump that it was great. And Trump said, wow, that's great, because he didn't have to pay $125,000. Two different sets of testimony. This is the problem for Michael Cohen. Bad memory, too many lies, we don't know. What will the jury do?
Today, first day of testimony. Lie after lie after lie. And these are people who are catching this who aren't even involved in the trial. There's so much notes. So many notes. There's such a trail. And understand, these testimonies just happened. Hey man, what you just said isn't true. We have this note that says otherwise. What are you talking about, Mike? I don't understand what you mean, because we've just figured out that you're basically lying again. So you won't hear this on MSNBC. You won't hear this on CNN. They're not going to tell their audience that this guy was caught lying 2 or 3 times today. Imagine how many other reporters he has spoken to over the last 8 or 9 years. Imagine how many people he's told this or that to. And then you got Lanny Davis going on MSNBC this morning before 9:30, before the trial began, and said that Michael Cohen has had a come-to-Jesus moment. He understands, he's apologizing for everything he's done wrong, blah, 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 and he just goes right back into court and lies again. Immediately. And this is to a friendly question. He hasn't even got to the cross-examination. This guy's not going to know what's coming or going. Any decent attorney is going to tie this guy into a pretzel. It is going to be, as I said earlier, delicious. Now I know why they didn't want to put this thing on television. If they put this case on television and Judge Merchant had allowed the cameras in, the polls would be even worse. People would see this and go, you got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. There's no way this can be that much of a farce. And so I hope you see, I tried to put this together, nothing of my opinion. I'm showing you what's out there, documented, so that you can actually see and hopefully tell some of your friends that this guy's batshit crazy, because he is. And, they can say anything they want on MSNBC and CNN and just completely lie. When I'm looking at reporters who are saying, he spoke to me, he said X, Y, or Z, he's lying. I see another reporter who's reading the transcript of what people testified to, and he lied again. It's just not going to end. It's just not going to end. Mike Catania, what's going on, brother? Mike says, hit that like button. Please do that. Here we go again.
Come on, show some love and click that like button.
And yes, Tommy, thank you. I love doing this. Lita says, popcorn sounds good right about now. Stormy has bet on more wieners than French's must. I wanted, okay, so thank you very much, Lawanda. I'm trying to just bring this stuff to you. This is what I'm going to be doing on my live shows. I'm eventually going to go every night of the week, but right now I'm going to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live. But I don't know if there's enough juicy stuff that happens tomorrow, maybe I will go live again. But I just recorded so much stuff, and I'm like, this is nuts. Are people actually seeing this? And so I had to put this stuff in order so you guys could see that I'm trying to tell a story here. All right, so here we go. This is Jonathan Turley at the end of the day. So this is after all the lies and everything else, and Jonathan Turley comes back after what he said beforehand, before the thing began, and this is really important.
But it was really interesting before his testimony to watch this effort to get in the agreement of the accountant.
All right, let me explain this. So Weisselberg, I think the guy's name is, he's the accountant that they've already put in jail. They put this guy, 77 years old, they put him in jail because he didn't want to play ball. He didn't give them the information they wanted. But he had signed an agreement. And so what they were trying to do is they realized their case is falling apart on day friggin' one. And they tried to introduce this document so that they could try to impugn Donald Trump. But I don't know if the judge had a stroke of, honesty, but even he went, I can't do that. We can't get that in.
That was such an obvious and dishonest move by the prosecutors.
They went for a Hail Mary.
You have to wonder whether this judge is having second thoughts about his failure to stop this case, or at least force the prosecution to be clear about it. There's nothing stopping the prosecutor from calling that accountant.
So they'd have to bring Weisselberg in from wherever he is, Rikers, whatever he's serving. And if you want to bring him in. Let him talk. Don't try to introduce some piece of paper. Call the guy in. They don't want to call him in. They're afraid to call him in. So they're not bringing Weisselberg in.
So the introduction of that agreement was clearly intended to suggest to the jury that they have some smoking gun evidence, but because of this agreement, they can't present it. That's entirely untrue. And so
now you've got the prosecution already on day one of Michael Cohen's testimony. Now you've got the prosecution lying and playing games.
Merchant was right to say, I'm not going to let you do that. But it goes to how this is a Potemkin village of a case. They're proving stuff that's not in evidence while leaving suggestions of stuff that is in evidence with the jury. So the thing to keep in mind is when the prosecution wraps up its case, the defense will stand up and make a standard motion for a directed verdict to say.
So let me just break that legalese down. So after the prosecution brings all their witnesses, and they would come and say, okay, Your Honor, we rest our case. Just, we rest. It's defense's turn. Defense can stand up at that point. They're not asking for a mistrial. They're saying, hey, Judge, they got nothing. I need you to throw this out. Just go ahead and adjudicate it right now, direct the verdict. Don't even let it go to the jury. Just call it a day and let's just get out of here. The defense can do that. In fact, the defense will do that because they can always, possibly he would grant it. I doubt it. But then it shows up in the appeal as well. So that's what he's talking about, a directed verdict.
That there's insufficient evidence to support a crime in this case. That's an extremely powerful argument because you've seen we're still debating what that crime is. Even on this network, you have people disagreeing as to what the theory of this case is, and the prosecution is about to wrap. Now, what the prosecution is worried about is that even Judge Merchant may just say, you know what, I gave you a shot.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if Judge Merchant said, I've given you every possible chance you want. I've let you say whatever you want. I gagged this guy. I let Michael Cohen scream and get on TikTok and raise money through money laundering. I've let Stormy talk about all kinds of different things that she wasn't supposed to talk about. I've given you guys the world. I've left the doors wide open for you to do anything to try and get this guy convicted. I threw out jurors that you didn't want because you wanted to basically pack the jury. I gave you everything. And you're leaving me at this point no choice. You've got to a point now where you haven't proved a crime. You just can't keep going on with this charade. And that's what Jonathan Turley is talking about. This is after the first day of Michael Cohen's testimony, and they're already talking about a directed verdict.
And you didn't sink it. And so I'm going to direct this verdict. I'm going to issue an acquittal. The way they're going to get around that is to just get Cohen to say, this happened, that he intentionally wanted me to put down, or wanted this to be a legal expense. He intentionally was committing fraud. He was trying to conceal campaign violations.
And the only way they can do that is he's going to have to lie. He's going to have to lie and say, Trump knew it, he told me, and you have to believe me.
Even though very few people on earth would believe Michael Cohen, the prosecutors will then argue to the judge, that is a credibility question, Judge, and you need to let this go to the jury. Whether you believe him or not, that is a fact question for the jury. That is their entire strategy. And so as unbelievable as Cohen may be, I don't think the prosecutors think he will be believable. They just want him to check a box.
They just want him to check a box. These people basically put the country in turmoil just to try and get to a point. 16 days, when you count the weekends, it's probably 21, 3-4 weeks of all of this BS, this tomfoolery, the idiocy of Stormy Daniels, the lying of Michael Cohen, just to put a case on to keep Trump stuck in New York City. They didn't realize he was going to use that to his benefit. Now they're probably like, oh my God, what did we do? Too late, no refunds. And so now you want to go ahead and basically say, hey, listen, we need to take this to the jury. And I'm sure the jury is going to sit back and go, I don't even understand what happened. It doesn't make any sense to me. None whatsoever. Hey, Tony says that Cohen is a box checker for the liberal biased witch hunt. It is. He hasn't done anything. They needed him to say Trump did it, even though they have no evidence that he did. Let's see here. The Democrat College of Lies. Absolutely. Hey, wow. Love from the Netherlands. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. No amount of truth will change the verdict. The jury will be just more actors. unfortunately, you may be right. They may come back and convict. It'll get overturned on appeal. But you only need one person. One person with integrity. One person who's not going to sell themselves out and say, I can't do this. I can't look myself in the mirror. You know, I understand Orange Man bad. I understand that this guy is, I feel like he's the scum of the earth. You know, what he did to Stormy and whatever. But somebody has to sit up and go, I just can't do it, man. I can't sleep at night. I can't face myself in the mirror. There's 2 attorneys on this jury. One of these 2 attorneys, what are they going to say? You're a licensed member of the officer of the court. You've passed the bar exam. Are you just going to look the other way and convict this guy? Unbelievable. How can we get this video to those who watch the fake media? Just share it. If they allow you to share it, I understand from some people that Facebook doesn't allow you to share it anymore. They're basically trying to keep me quiet. I mean, I was doing tons of numbers, and all of a sudden they just went, they cranked down my reach on stuff because, again, I'm not saying it. This is what's been saying it, but they just don't want people to hear it. And I understand from some of the other guys I've talked to, it's only going to get worse. They have no choice but to get people to stop talking about what's going on. They don't want people to see this kind of stuff. This is so damaging. It's incredibly damaging for people to see this. Yet Cohen can go on MSNBC and say stuff like Trump's going to kill people and he's going to take over Canada, and that's fine. You can broadcast that stuff all you want. They don't care about that. So let's continue. So after this day in court, Trump comes out. And Trump comes out unlike any of the other 16 days of court thus far. And he's absolutely pissed. Absolutely pissed on what he's seeing going on.
But we have a corrupt judge, and we have a judge who's highly conflicted, and he's keeping me from campaigning. He's an appointed New York judge. He's appointed. You know who appointed him? Democrat politicians. He's appointed. He's a corrupt judge, and he's a conflicted judge, and he ought to let us go out and campaign and get rid of this scam. Every single legal analyst, even CNN, even MSDNC, they're saying, there's no case here. Thank you very much.
He's pissed, and he has a right to be pissed at this point. He's sitting there watching. He's got to be there. A caged animal. And he's hearing these people go up there and lie and say stuff about him, his family, his friends, his inner circle, and there's nothing he can say. And I'm sure he's bouncing off the walls going, what the hell is this guy talking about? They're just making shit up at this point. He can see it. I mean, there was some drawings from the court, what do you call him, the court artist, and he's looking at the prosecutor like this, and he's like, what are you talking about? And then, of course, his attorneys are probably trying to pull him back and go, chill, man, chill, we got this. Because he knows they're lying. They know they're lying. The jury doesn't know that they're lying. See, that's the problem. The jury doesn't know and hasn't seen all this stuff thus far to understand that Michael Cohen is a complete, unadulterated BS liar. They didn't watch Mark Levin. These people on the jury haven't seen this stuff. They didn't watch what happened in the courtroom today and understand they were told a lie. They didn't know. That would come out on cross-examination. The prosecuting attorney just, oh, sky's red? Okay, sky's red. So tell me what you have for dinner. Just keep going. Don't make a big deal on the fact that he told 2 or 3 lies on the stand after he swore to tell the truth. That's going to come out in cross-examination. So Trump sees this all happening in front of him. And he's like, I'm over this shit. I'm done. You people are liars. You're corrupt. And you're letting these guys just say whatever they want on the stand. And now, he's gotten to the point where he knows there's no real way they can convict him. There is no absolute legal basis for a conviction. The only way they can convict him is with a crooked jury. Only way. If these jurors just say, we don't care, and that's it. So this last cut I got for you, this is Bill Emmer. And Bill Emmer on Fox News was actually in the court. He says something interesting that I want to point out to you. Check this out.
He was inside of that courtroom, and he has stepped outside, and he's joining us now. Edward, this was day 16 of this trial. But in the former president's words, It's 4 weeks of me not campaigning. Your thoughts?
Well, that's true. That's true. Sandra, good afternoon to you. We just came outside the courthouse, the courtroom, trying to get ahead of the president a little bit before things lock down yet again. Sandra, I have 6.5 pages of notes. I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm going to make 4 simple.
I see. I'm a news junkie. I was hoping he would, or basically get on a podcast or something and go over that 6 pages of notes, because I would come and tell you guys. But let's listen to what he said. He's got 4 points.
Points upon observations out inside. Keep in mind, there's about 8 or 9 rows where people can sit, up to about 60 people, about a half dozen members of the public. The rest are all media typing away on their laptops. The Q&A between the prosecutor and Cohen.
That's the drawing I was showing you. That woman standing up is the prosecutor, and that's Trump sitting next to her like, what the hell is going on here? I don't even understand what's going on. This is just a kangaroo situation. And they caught him there, and he's just staring up at her like, this is bullshit.
During the first half of the afternoon, it was almost rote. It was question, answer, question, answer, question, answer.
They just wanted to get through it as fast as possible, because this is what they've rehearsed. Michael, sky blue, yes. Had chicken for dinner, yes. Just keep going.
No deviation whatsoever, and Cohen looked right at that attorney the entire time. And I guess if you're an attorney and your witness is doing what you expect, and there are no curveballs, that's perhaps something that you want in a circumstance like this. But after the break, after the 3:30 break that took about 90 minutes or so, court came back into session, and Cohen spoke directly to jurors the entire time.
So understand, they went to this break, and somebody, the jury consultant or whoever, said, stop looking at the attorney. Look at the jury. Let's talk to them. Let's get them to know you. They don't know you're lying, Michael. So just be yourself. Be the scammer that you are. Imagine you're trying to bilk them for some money. You're trying to get them some TikTok dollars. So just be your scammy self, but look at the jury. Don't look at me. Tactic. You can watch some movies. They'll tell you about jury influencing.
It was an easy thing to do from the beginning, Sandra. If you can follow me here, there are monitors all over this courtroom. And the reason there are monitors everywhere for the judge and for the jurors and for the witness and for the attorneys on both sides is because there are so many exhibits that are being shown on those monitors. Text messages and phone logs. And
this is important what he says here. Listen to this.
Letters and exhibits. And so you have to look at that monitor. During that time, Michael Cohen was explaining why he was not given a job at the White House. And he was going through the rationale about what was offered through Reince Priebus, what came directly, what he liked and what he didn't like, what he was pushing for and what he was not able to get. And that, I'd say, Sandra, at that moment, the jurors, in my judgment, were the most engaged I had seen them all afternoon. As Cohen was talking to them, they were staring right back at him as well.
See, they don't know that he's lying. So they're thinking that this, guy is in a suit, he's a professional, and he's talking to them and he's being completely honest.
But I mentioned all the state's exhibits, the text messages and the phone laws, etc.
Here it comes.
Not one word on anything that was put up on behalf of the prosecution mentioned the word election.
So this is where this gets important. So he just painted a picture for you that there's monitors everywhere. There's documents and emails and text and all kinds of stuff all over the place. And nobody is pointing out the minutia. Bill was smart enough to look. And the word election was nowhere to be found on any of these documents or any of these monitors. Of course, the prosecution isn't going to point that out. They don't want the jury to understand, hey, look, do you see anything here that says anything about election? I know it says stormy this and stormy that and hotel room and do this and do that and crazy stuff, but there's nothing anywhere that says the word election. You can bet your sweet bippy, the cross-examination by the defense, they're going to put that up there. Hey, can you put all that shit back up, please? Yeah. nothing here. It says election. Hey, Michael, why is there nothing on this document mentioning the election? Oh, guess it didn't have anything to do with it. Okay. He's going to get caught in a lie. Big time.
Not a single time. Now, during Cohen's testimony today, he referred often to the fact that Trump was concerned about the election. If the Stormy Daniels story got out, that could hurt him with women in that election. Cohen made a point of that during the morning session. In the afternoon, not so many times did he refer to it.
Because he was getting caught in lies. See, when they did that 3:30 break, I'm sure they've got people watching television, watching the news, and they see what John Roberts is saying. They see what Harris Faulkner was saying. They see what Laura Ingram, they see what people are tweeting, and they're like, oh, people caught that. We better not do that, because the conversation on Twitter is nuts. It happens in real time, and it just keeps going and going and going. And so there's got to be somebody monitoring all this stuff to make sure that they can see what other people see.
However, I think in terms of the defense, when you get an opportunity to go in cross-examination, you can point to something like that that says the election was never mentioned. So what does that mean? In the end, if the prosecutor's right, she said they need a little bit of time tomorrow, let's call it a half day. No one knows until they do it. In the end, if Alan Weisselberg, whose name came up many times before.
Now, this is the guy Jonathan Turley was talking about. He's a CFO or accountant of Trump Organization who's in jail right now. And they tried to introduce this document, and Judge Merchan caught him and said, nope, no dice. If you want him to talk, bring him in. Bring him off from Rikers or wherever he is and have him testify.
Former accountant for the Trump Organization for 40 years, age 76, in Rikers Island Prison, serving his second prison sentence right now at the age of 76. If Weisselberg is not a witness in this case, Sandra, right now it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It is Cohen's word against Trump. And who will the jury believe? That's what the entire case is hanging on right now.
So that's what the entire case is hanging on right now. They are not going to bring in Karen McDougal. They are not going to bring in Weisselberg. As of today, they told the judge they don't have any plans to bring him in. And so it's man on man. It's Cohen against Trump. Except for two big problems with that. One, Trump doesn't have to do anything. There's no word to go against him. Trump is the defendant. In this country, you're innocent of proving guilty. As much as they're goading him in to try and get him to testify, he can just sit there right there and his attorneys can say you haven't proven anything. So in terms of believing Michael Cohen, if that's their entire strategy, he better bring a proverbial bulletproof vest when he goes through cross-examination, because those bullets coming out of these defense attorneys' mouths are going to shred Michael Cohen. They are probably they realize at this point, we don't know what we can do. Our entire case at this point hinges on this jury believing Michael Cohen. And you don't know what's in store for Michael Cohen over the next 2 or 3 days. You can bet everything that when it's the defense turn to put Michael Cohen on the stand, they're going to like, I hope you brought a lunch pail. I hope you brought dinner, because we're going to be here for a while. We got a lot of stuff to go through. And they bring out, yeah, we going to go. All right? And I'm going to try and catch you in as many lies as possible. I already have a couple from what you did yesterday, meaning Cohen's testifying today. We already have those. We can show the jury, hey, remember when this idiot said this? Oh, yeah, he lied. Remember when he said that? Oh, yeah, he lied. And then we're just giving you the appetizers now. Now we're going to dig in and give you years of this guy being caught. He hasn't paid his taxes. He went to jail for taxes. He got bank fraud. We had judges calling him a perjurer. He's been disbarred. But you want to believe Michael Cohen against this guy who's never, ever been in trouble in his 77 years on the planet until he decided to run for president again? Never. There's nothing there. There are no criminal cases right now other than the ones that they've brought against him since he decided to run for re-election. And now you've got that case in Georgia The Court of Appeals has basically put the brakes on Fannie Willis. That ain't happening. Who knows what's going on with Jack Smith? That case, brakes have been pumped. The Letitia James trying to steal his money, that's into the appellate court. So this is it. The Democrats' entire strategy, as James Carville said, it ain't working. We got to do something. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but hey, it ain't nothing working. You're damn right, James. Nothing's working. Nothing's going to work because you got a demented old man trying to steal another, oh shit, I can't say it. I didn't say the word. Trying to persuade people to vote a certain way. And you guys know exactly what I mean. I just can't say it. This is a kangaroo court of epic proportions. I hope I gave you guys a whole bunch of information that you're probably not hearing or seeing anywhere else. To me, it's just unbelievable what we've been seeing. And when he gets the cross-examination, I wish I could. There's no way for me to tape it because he didn't allow film inside the courtroom, but I'm going to get as much information. I'll sit in front of the television, record every show. It's going to be incredible. And if their entire strategy is based upon Michael Cohen, they're in deep shit. They are in really deep shit, unless they've basically packed the jury and you've got 12 people there who are just going to do whatever they want. Robbie Lozano says, Barry definitely made me feel better about it. Thank you for doing God's work. Thank you. With Paparazzi says, with all of this, he should sue the entire Democrat Party and ban them from running ever again. I don't know what he's going to do, but I think they realize at this point, if this guy gets into office, he's not going to take over Canada. He's not going to invade Canada. He's not going to kill the CEO of MSNBC, but he's coming for the rest of y'all. They're worried now at this point. You've showed your hand, and you know, basically like Wonder Woman, you know, Trump's been out there repelling everything, and if he didn't have billions of dollars, there's no way he could have defended himself. He's lost a ton of money. He's still solvent. They couldn't bankrupt him into basically pleading guilty. That's not going to happen to Adam Schiff. That's not going to happen to Chuck Schumer, and on and on and on. They don't have the funds behind them when the knock from the DOJ comes. And I hope it comes. I really do. New Trump City. Yeah. I love that movie. I know what you mean. Thank you, Delilah, for tuning in. By the way, you guys go ahead and...
Come on, show some love and click that like button.
If Carville had 1 ounce of integrity, he would change parties just as most Democrats have since Reagan. Do, Carville, do it. You could see the frustration as Carville was talking. It ain't working, man. It ain't working. It's not going to. Nobody wants to pay 44% income tax. Ain't gonna happen. Nobody wants to pay $7 for gas. Nobody wants to pay 25% to impute on money you haven't even realized yet. Nobody wants to pay $10 for a dozen eggs. Nobody wants to pay 8% for a mortgage. These are kitchen table items that the Democrats aren't paying attention to, and they're worried about that country over there with that idiot dictator who is a dictator doing things so that they all can probably get their little kickbacks. Meanwhile, the rest of us here in America have to deal with all these newcomers and what they're doing and the crime, and they don't pay any attention to it. It's not even on their top 10 list. And that's why, James Carville, you can't win. And you don't have enough time between now and November to change it. That's just the way it is. So I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope I entertained and gave you some education and had a little fun along the way. And I'll see you soon. But this is the first day of the live show. Like I said, I'm going to try Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week, unless something happens. Share it. Tell your friends. Come on back. Thanks a lot for watching. We went